God is so good. And next, I'd like to introduce Rudo Kwaramba. She is an attorney, but she left private practice. She has served in many roles. She used to be the national director in her home country of Zimbabwe. She used to be the national director for Uganda. She used to be in the UK the director of advocacy, communications, and education. But now she is currently overseeing the program work of 9 World Vision national offices in all of Southern Africa. Rudo Kwaramba.
Thank you, Jennifer. My task is a very simple one today, but there's a part of what I'm going to say which is not on the script, so I'll be grateful if they don't switch me off. I arrived a bit early, so I had the privilege of attending the welcome dinner for members of the National Leadership Council. And Jennifer and Mark and several others of the National Leadership Council shared about the work that has been done through the different sectors and the resources that have been raised. And as they were sharing, it became very clear to me that there's something that God has done that could only have been done by Him, which is transferred the vision for every child from the documents of World Vision US, from the minds of some of the many people within Rich's team who worked on this. And he has transferred it into the hearts of the many members of the National Leadership Council. Because the way in which they would explain the different sectors, their impact, the way in which they displayed their ownership of this campaign, it just blew me away. And I just want to thank God for what He has done, because it is He who deals with the hearts of men. You know, I come from Zimbabwe, and maybe I'll talk to the mother of my fellow Zimbabwean later on about the challenges of Zimbabwe. But Zimbabwe is a very rich culture. And one of the expressions we have in my language, Shona, is that the only thing that you can say to someone, let go, is that which they hold in their hand. Because that which is in their heart, you can't command it out of them. And I just see an interesting dynamic here where God has lodged this campaign in the hearts of many, many people who are on the National Leadership Council. And on behalf of the many staff who are in Southern Africa, on behalf of the many communities that we're trying to reach in the 9 countries of Southern Africa, I just want to thank you all for your commitment to this campaign. You see, I was at one of the first conferences at the Cove in 2011, where the National Leadership Council was talking and building up and trying to generate a lot more income for this campaign. And then I was working in Uganda. And I was also part of the process of putting together these elaborate programs that would work in the same areas where World Vision has large area development programs, particularly the WASH programs, the Christian Commitments programs. And it just seemed like a dream. It just seemed like, my goodness, are they going to be able to make it? And it was so much more harder for me to grasp that it would come to pass. And this was because a few years when I used to work for World Vision in Zimbabwe, just at the point that President Bush was launching PEPFAR, his initiative on HIV and AIDS, World Vision US ambitiously hoped that he would take a lot of that money and entrust it to World Vision. So a number of us national directors and our HIV/AIDS colleagues in the office, we got together in a hotel in Tanzania, and we came up with these elaborate plans about how we're going to reach so many more children when this money would land in the bank account of World Vision US from the US government. Well, when eventually the president's plan was launched, they didn't, I don't know what happened, they just gave it out to different NGOs. So we never got to a point of actually realizing this. So when I was looking at this for FEC, I was thinking, oh Lord, have mercy on us. I pray that this time we'll be able to land it. But what's amazing for me today is that whereas one government department division was unable to come to a decision to work with us, God has brought together so many people from so many parts of the United States, and He has turned their hearts towards children that they may never see, may not have seen, and they have come to own this campaign. And today my task is to just share with you a little bit of what has been done in Southern Africa through this campaign. But I just want to share with you that when you sit in a regional office, I sit in South Africa, I interact with national directors, they work with their teams and they go out into the communities, and they are the ones who have their feet on the ground and their hands dirty, like Jay said. And sometimes you struggle to get a picture of what is really happening. So one of the things that I did when I was coming here is I called up a few of my team members in the field and I said, tell me, what does it mean to you? And I just want to share with you some of the realities of the communities that we're serving through this campaign. It's not so much about the numbers, it's about the individuals to whom this campaign is making a difference. I got a story from Mozambique of a young lady called Yara Avia and her sister Ophelia. And they live with their 38-year-old mom, and she's a widow. And through this campaign, they've received bed nets. And the mother tells a story that her life and her children's life was split between hospital and home in such a way that they couldn't be in school. They were so often plagued by attacks of malaria that they were in hospital or they were at home recovering. And they couldn't be in school. But today, because of the distribution of bed nets, her children are in school and she's working the field so that she can provide for them. And it is the thanks of people like these two young girls that I want to convey to those who have made a commitment to this campaign. And I want to say to you that sometimes it's difficult to understand how a bed net that costs $7 can make such a huge difference. But it does. It makes a huge difference. It has also made a difference to Louisa, who's also from Mozambique, 24 years old. And she has just given birth to a healthy baby. But her pregnancy was very, very difficult because she was constantly diagnosed to have malaria. And when you are pregnant, there are certain medications you can't take. So the only thing that matters for women like her is to prevent malaria through mosquito nets that are distributed through this program. I also had a chance to talk to some of our colleagues who work in Zambia. You see, the For Every Child campaign in Southern Africa is funding work on malaria, on water sanitation and hygiene, on economic development, on child protection, and Christian commitments. So I talked to a Christian commitments manager. His name is Wampempe Lukada. And I said, what difference is it making? And he says, you see, we have now started to work with couples, and we have a course that we run called Celebrating Families. Through this course, we help families to reflect upon the impact of the fall, the sin in their lives, and how it damages relationships, family relationships. And men and women are not in the right relationship with one another, but they also are not in the right relationship with their children. And he shared with me a story of a health worker. His name is Patrick Kaseko, 50-year-old, who came home after having attended the Celebrating Family course. And he shared with his 3 grown-up children a letter capturing his and his wife's apology to their children about the difficult situations that they had put them through, the hard words that they had often said to them because of the broken relationship. And the children, in turn, were able to say to the World Vision workers that our life has changed. We can now talk to our parents. We have restored relationships because they went through a course that has been financed by this campaign to help them understand the place of grace and forgiveness and loving relationships in family. Jay, when he came up here, was talking about transformation. It's one of the most amazing things that happens as World Vision does its work, is that we don't just erect water points and boreholes, but people's lives are transformed. And I want to tell you, friends, that it is true what that Shona proverb says. That which you can command out of someone is what they hold in their hand. But when you've lodged it in their hearts, no one can take it away. The way in which people's lives are being transformed from the different interventions is related to the way in which this campaign is able to support ongoing engagement. Not just infrastructure, but engagement with communities, so that when we are doing water sanitation and hygiene programs, we don't just go in, drill a borehole, and drive out. No, we engage in dialogue with the community. We take them through their own community. They walk around and they see the situation that is unacceptable. And they begin to go through a process of changing how they think about sanitation and the role that sanitation plays in the lives of their families and their children. They become transformed and they become advocates. They begin to put forward some of their own money to construct latrines. They begin to say that we need to make sure that there is water outside the latrine. They begin to hold their children accountable for the need to wash their hands before they eat. It's not just the infrastructure. It's not just the implementation of programs. It's the life-transforming power that comes with this program that makes such a difference. So I talked to Dr. Opong. Dr. Opong supervises our water sanitation and hygiene work in Southern Africa. An amazing, amazing man of God. And he's been able to build a model where he's integrated Christian witness into our WASH program. Because whenever you drill a well, whenever you're doing awareness raising, you can also talk about Jesus' provision of living water. And he's been able to make sure that when communities walk away, they don't only have physical water, but they have spiritual water. That they too can become wells from which the water of life will continue to well up and bless others. And it's just so amazing to listen to him talk about the impact on the lives of communities. But the other thing that he said to me, he said, you know, for a long time, World Vision, we have really beat ourselves on the back because we have felt we cannot play our size. In most of the countries where we work, particularly in Southern Africa, we are the largest not-for-profit organization. We have the greatest footprint across the nation. People know us. We are present, we are in communities for a long time. But for a long time, we've not been able to have the voice that matches our size and our investment. But through the long-term investment in our programs, we can now talk to local government about their plans for water sanitation and hygiene. And they know what we are planning to do in the coming year, in the coming years, and they share with us what they are planning to do. This campaign has given us a voice. It has given us a voice with government, but it has also attracted to us donors that we didn't have before. So alongside the over 100,000 that we put, wells that we put in a community, alongside the 100 million that is planned for Southern Africa over 5 years, we've already begun to partner with UNICEF. They're about to sign a $3 million program for Zambia. We have 2 banks that have signed to fund our WASH program in Zambia. We have a voice, we have a presence, we have a reputation. Why? Because this campaign allows us to work in a sector over a number of years, make significant contribution that not only touches lives, but it's beginning to create space for us where we ought to be, because we're an organization who God in His grace has brought up, has grown to significance, and we're able to walk into the corridors of power, and we're able to have government officials listen to us. Let me talk a little bit about the work in economic development. In Southern Africa, we are working in Zambia and in Malawi. And the major thing that we're investing in at this stage are the savings groups. And Jay talked a little bit more about savings groups. And I want to bring to you a story about a group in Zambia made up of 7 women and 8 men, 15 people. And they started in 2010, putting together their own contribution, $4 a person. And by the end of the year, they had raised savings of $1,900. Now, that doesn't look like a lot of money, but I can assure you, for them, it is such a significant change. They have a sense of being in charge of what they can do through their small businesses. And I know that the next step is that they will walk into the offices of the microfinance institution that is operated by Vision Fund, because they are proven to be active, poor people who are already in business. They will be able to get their next loan, and they'll grow their businesses, and they will grow and be significant. And we know that a lot of that money goes towards education and health and food security and better shelter. And it is through some of these loans that they will get, that they will be able to contribute to the well-being of children. In Southern Africa, we have 52,000 groups that are saving. And of those, 23,000 are in Malawi and Zambia, where For Every Child is providing the seed fund to mobilize, to train, to build capability, to build confidence, to transform people whose heads were bowed down to people who can walk with a sense of pride and self-esteem, and who are able to engage in business, grow their business, and be able to transform the lives of their children. And you know what's so exciting? Is all these community people, they become beacons of light in their communities. Other people around them see what's happening, and they come on board. There is just a wave of change that is happening through the resources that are coming through this program. We've done significant work, but I see us able to actually build even our own internal capability to pilot new products, and we have been able to export them even to countries where For Every Child funding is not in. I was in Angola. Now, Angola is an interesting place. But I found them making use of the hand-drilled borehole that was innovated through the WASH program in Zambia and Malawi. So there is growing learning, there is growing capacity, and it's beginning to cover the whole region. So I want to say to you, I give God the glory, because He has made this possible. But I also thank Him because there were hearts and minds that were willing to come along and to partner with World Vision globally to make such a significant difference. And I have no doubt that God is using this campaign and the resources it's generating to fill the gap that is being created as governments begin to announce cuts in overseas development aid. I remember Rich mentioned that at a time when there are cuts, we are stepping in and we're filling the gap. And I just want to say to you, we are very, very grateful. And we thank God that many more people are here today and have the possibility of joining what is happening, what is setting off amazing transformation work. And I pray that God in His grace will continue to raise up so many of you to partner with us in Southern Africa, Africa, and across the many countries where World Vision works. May God bless you. Thank you.